If you're concerned about changing global power dynamics and the impact that they're going to have on the economy and more specifically your wallet, you're not alone. On January 1st, 2024, the BRICS bloc of nations officially doubled their membership, representing close to half of the world's population in an accelerated bid to create a new world order. This continually growing alliance will undoubtedly have a dramatic impact on the US dollar's unchallenged reign as the global primary currency, which in turn could wipe out the value of anything that's based on the US dollar. So what can we expect to see from BRICS as we move through 2024, and how can you protect yourself? Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to Tailor-Made Economics. I'm Taylor Kenny with ITM Trading, breaking down complex financial topics so we can learn and grow together. Today we're going to be discussing the latest developments with BRICS, an alliance of major economies with a shared vision of a new world order achieved through de-dollarization. Picture this. An agreement is made between BRICS countries that oil prices no longer have to be in US dollars. As a result of this agreement, countries start sending back and selling off their US dollars. They no longer need them to purchase oil and would actually rather purchase oil in a different currency. Because of this one change, a shift happens where the US dollar is no longer needed. The Federal Reserve can't print more money, interest rates skyrocket, businesses have to lay off their employees, gas prices go through the roof like we've never seen before, and asset values plummet. Yes, this is bleak, but it's not even the full picture of what would happen if the petrodollar collapsed. When the Bretton Woods system fell apart in the early 1970s and the dollar was no longer backed by gold, the United States made an agreement that all oil prices would have to be set in US dollars. This agreement created an artificial demand for US dollars that has continued to this day and is propping up the value of the US dollar as we know it. It has never been a question of if this agreement would collapse, but when. It's inevitable, and BRICS is making that all the more real. Following US sanctions on Russia, BRICS made headlines in 2023 when they announced that they would be pursuing their own currency in a direct threat to the US dollar. What started as an informal group of allies consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa added in 2011 quickly became a force to be reckoned with, especially as their recent priority became a new world order. You might be wondering, do they really have the power to do this? And the answer is yes. Their membership now includes Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, with no signs of slowing. An additional 20 plus countries have applied for membership that are still waiting to be reviewed. The 2024 BRICS Summit will be held in Russia with Vladimir Putin presiding. At an end-of-year news conference, Putin stated that the 2024 goals for BRICS was to create a fair new world order. Putin has also said that under his chairmanship, he's looking to strengthen the bloc's power, authority, and membership. In order to see what's coming next, it's important to understand why BRICS countries are powerful. The first reason being that they are on the rise in money, natural resources, and population size. Now, the news likes to compare BRICS bloc to G7, which is a forum of powerful developed countries, with the largest one being the United States. They would have you believe that BRICS pales in comparison to the G7. It is true that currently the combined GDP of the G7 is close to 43%, whereas BRICS combined GDP is closer to 30%. More GDP means more money means more power. So there's a narrative being pushed that BRICS bloc is not powerful and any kind of real change would be a long way off. But what they're not telling you is that the GDP growth rates on average are 4-to-1 in BRICS countries to G7 countries, which makes sense given the fact that combined they have double the land mass, which means way more natural resources, and almost quadruple the population size. When you take all of that into consideration, you can see how economically the exponential growth that could happen over the next few years is massive. This is also very important because the new expanded list of BRICS members will allow them to double their share of oil production, representing half of all crude oil production made globally. And in addition to representing the supply, they also have China and India, who are the world's first and third largest oil importers. So why does any of this matter to you? Well, it is no secret that BRICS countries have been harboring serious discontent over how the current system favors the West. Global institutions like the IMF and World Bank adhere to U.S. policy, and the U.S. dollar has remained king, a privileged position that has really only assisted the United States in keeping up with their poor monetary decisions and allowing them to act in ways that are above reproach because of their standing with the US dollar being the primary global currency. This power dynamic creates serious geopolitical problems for countries who are faced with the threat of sanctions from the United States, as well as what might be an economic disadvantage when trade has to be conducted in US dollars versus a national currency of their choosing, something that the United States doesn't have to deal with. At the 2023 BRICS Summit on the topic of de-dollarization, the group stated that they were aiming to reduce the use of the US dollar and instead use national currencies in international trade. Many have said that the ultimate goal here is to create a new currency made up of a basket of founding members' currencies, but how long that project will take to come to fruition is still up for debate. But don't think that that doesn't mean that there aren't intermediary steps being taken right now that we can expect to see ramped up through this year. This includes China's CBDC pilot phase that will allow for swift cross-border payments. India supporting Russia during U.S. sanctions by purchasing more oil. And now with the new members, we have Saudi Arabia, who has explicitly expressed interest in supporting oil trade with currencies other than the U.S. dollar, saying that they were open to anything. Remember the scenario I painted earlier about what would happen if oil was no longer priced in US dollars? Well, it is a very real possibility. And the scary thing is that there's not that much our government seems to be able to do to stop it, other than stick their heads in the sand and hope for the best. I personally can see the writing on the wall, and as the global dynamics shift away from the US dollar, it's clear that whatever perceived value it has isn't even uncertain. That value is limping along, gasping for its last breath as we speak. So how can you protect yourself? I say it's time to take matters into our own hands and get a strategy in place that works for you. Personally, for me, that is physical, tangible gold, something that is outside of the system, not dependent on geopolitical risk or the US dollar or any other made-up fiat currency out there.
We know that this year is going to be a wild one, but what's exciting is that we are in a pivotal moment right now where we can see what's coming next before it actually happens.
And if you're wondering how to get started, it's easy. Just click the link in the description below and get a strategy in place that makes sense for you. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Taylor Kenny with ITM Trading. Until next time.